Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar on how to automate a SCIP submission in under 1 minute. Next slide. So our agenda for this afternoon, we'll be presenting an overview of SCIP. We'll be discussing the reporting requirements and some recent updates. We'll talk about our GreenCheck system-to-system solution for SCIP submissions, and we'll do live demos of that. And then we'll do a recap and answer some QA if we have any. Next slide. So some housekeeping. Everyone but our speakers are muted. The meeting is being recorded and we will share after the session. There will be a survey at the end of the webinar for you to fill in order to receive a copy. And if you have questions or comments, please feel free to use the comments section of the webinar and we'll follow up at the end of the meeting. Next slide. And so joining us today are myself, Ken Ingram, in the automotive industry for a little over 40 years now. Ms. Karen Neal Strobel, who has been in supply chain for over 30 years, and Mr. Sri Venakata, who heads up our regulatory compliance team for the last 15 years here at APA. Next slide. And who are we? We are APA Engineering. We're a global company with over 350 customers over the last 20 years working in compliance, engineering, sourcing, and software. We offer turnkey solutions for IMDS, REACH, RoHS, SCIP, Prop 65 in California, and other areas. Next slide, please. And now joining me will be Ms. Karen Neal Strobel for an overview of SCIP. Karen?
Thank you, Ken, and welcome. Here's a quick history of SCIP, which is Substances of Concern in Products. This was originated through the European Union's Waste Framework Directive back in 2018, and the SCIP database was launched this year on October 28th with a little over 2 months to prepare for the legal obligation, which is coming on January 5th, 2021. The objectives of SCIP are to reduce the use of SVHCs, which are substances of very high concern, and also to provide authorities more information on the use of SVHCs around the environment and to analyze its impacts. And finally, to help with waste treatment operations to better educate on SVHCs and how to properly dispose of those products. Next slide. So who needs to participate in SCIP? Any supplier that has an article that is above 0.1% weight over weight of a substance of very high concern that is on the candidate list that's managed by ECHA, which is the European Chemical Association. If that product is being sold or distributed within the EU, then this can apply. Any EU producers and importers should submit through SCIP. Also, any EU assemblers and EU distributors of products. Note that retailers do not necessarily have to submit through SCIP. However, there could be situations where retailer may need to, so it's strongly recommended that retailers check with the authorities to confirm whether or not they need to submit through SCIP. Also, some non-EU suppliers may need to participate as well. If the product is being submitted and sold into the EU, then the non-EU supplier may need to participate in SCIP. They can work through their EU importers by making a submission on behalf of them as the foreign user concept, or they can share their SCIP data using some custom templates to the EU importers if necessary. Next slide.
Thank you, Karen. And now joining us will be Mr. Sri Venakata, who will walk us through the reporting requirements, some recent updates, and we'll walk through the APA GreenCheck solution and do a live demo. Sri, take it away.
Yep, thank you, Ken. So let me go through the data requirements for making a SCIP submission. So mainly there are three sections. If you look at it, the section 1 is the article identification, which includes the article name, primary article identifier, article category as the mandatory requirements. In the second section is a concern element, where we are declaring all the information related to SVHCs present in the product. So these are the mandatory fields that includes candidate list of substance, concentration ranges, material mixture category to provide provide the substance location details. And the third one is the safe use instructions, which will allow proper management of article once if it becomes waste. So SCIP database was officially launched or officially productionized on 28th October. After that, there have been few changes compared to the trial version that they have launched initially. So we have summarized the changes, especially there are 7 changes. The first change is related to production in the EU. In the past, there were 3 options. Now the options are changed to 4. You can see on the right side, both EU produced and imported, EU imported, EU produced, and no data. And the second one is the candidate list version. The attribute itself is deleted. And the third is article category. So this is also called as tariff code. So that is the pick list is updated. So now it will have 10-digit long. There are some additional zeros. Those are subsections which were added at the end of the tariff code, each and every tariff code. Mixture category. So this is also revised as per CLP regulation. CLP means classification, labeling, and product regulation changes. And the primary identifier, basically it has been amended now. So if somebody has, so previously the SCIP number was not at all there as a reference number, only part number, GTIN, EAN, GPC were there. So now SCIP number can also be entered. So that means if your supplier has submitted a SCIP dossier, a SCIP submission, and the supplier has the SCIP reference number, that can be used here as a child part in your assembly, so that it gets automatically linked. And the sixth change is the number of units, which is a number of articles in a complex object. It is made it as an optional. Previously, it was mandatory. And the last change is by default, a safe use instruction, a tick mark is updated. You can see that the identification of candidate list of sufficient substance is sufficient to allow safe use of the article throughout the whole life cycle, including the service life, disassembly, and waste and recycling. So this is a kind of relief. So now let me walk you through APA's system to system solution. APA has developed a system to system solution uh, in its in a prior software called GreenCheck. So GreenCheck is a web-based software SaaS model. Basically, it has got multiple regulations it can manage. It has got multiple software modules, regulation modules, especially REACH, SCIP, ROS, Prop 65. Even one can manage the custom regulations. That means if a customer is subjected to different regulations, those mostly all the regulations are talking about some of the other substance threshold limits. So one can create custom substance list and start surveying to its suppliers. So that is another beautiful module that GreenCheck has got. So fundamentally, it is an interactive software between a customer and a vendor. So to start with, customer has a bill of material. So the bill of material can be uploaded to green check and start requesting the suppliers for different regulatory requirements through the green check survey module. So wherein once a customer start surveying it, vendors will also have the access to green check. So vendors can log in and they can start answering them. So once they answer, complete the survey or complete the updates the regulatory information, customer has the opportunity to accept, reject, and until it is, if it is rejected, a rejection reason will go. If it is accepted, that is closed. And again, whenever there is an amendment in the regulation, that time the customer can resurvey. So the high level features of SCIP software is basically it can play around, or it can take any kind of inputs, be it an FMD, that's called Full Metal Declaration IPC 175A, B, or if your supplier is, if you have a .exe files or IMDS files or supplier survey or custom Excel templates, any kind of format it can accept. So it has separate logins for customer as well as supplier. So the beauty of the software is bulk SCIP dossier creation as well as submission. Suppose if you have all the data set ready for multiple part numbers in a spreadsheet, you can just upload in matter of minutes to green check, and green check can create the dossiers, SCIP dossiers, and one can integrate, through the system to system key, it can be, bulk submissions can be made to ECHA. Excuse me. So especially for complex object where you have multiple SVHC substances or multiple lines, so articles, it is very, the process is very, very simple. It also has the automated mail communication reminder to vendors. So what are the benefits? So since it is many things are automated, minimum 75% savings in terms of efforts, and if you calculate that into cost, it will be much higher than that. And bulk SCIP submissions can be made, which is one of the pain in the neck for most of the customers. Automated surveys to SCIP dossiers, especially the companies which are in the non-automotive sector. So for them, if they wanted to, instead of a traditional spreadsheet method that can replace this supplier survey, which can act as a centralized software, it also manages other regulations such as REACH, ROS, Prop 65, and many other custom surveys. All are linked to a part number, and even company level surveys also can be managed. So what are the inputs needed for green check? The fundamental inputs are system to system keys. So if a company is registered in ECHA for SCIP, so the first person, whoever registers the company, that person is called as lead manager, LM. So, or we can call it as an admin. Admin has to request ECHA that, okay, my company wanted to make an automatic submissions, that's called system to system submissions, because I have multiple submissions. So they can write they can raise a ticket, or there is a link wherein they can raise this request, so that there will be an additional option that will be enabled to the same lead manager in his login, wherein he can create a system to system key. That system to system key is basically a number that number can be shared to the third-party providers, third-party software providers like us. Once the number is inputted as a key between that number will basically act as a key between our software and your login. And of course, the skip data with mandatory attribute details are also required. So fundamentally, these two are sufficient. If you have the skip data and if you have the skip login, you just have to raise a ticket to ECA to get the system to system keys. So this is the overall process for green check. So on the left side, you can see different types of inputs that green check accepts. On the right side is the output. In between is the process. So basically, what type of inputs a green check can accept? Green check can accept any type of inputs which has the skip mandatory details. So be it an IMDS or be it in full material declaration in any other format. In automotive industry, IMDS is has the full material declaration, or a complete breakdown of the materials, including the substances, are provided. That can be one of the input. Or in the electronic industry, mostly IPC 175A or B, so that can be another input. And other industries like discrete industries other than electronics and automotive, they can use they may have their own template, or typically a company in the medical industry or industrial products, if they make it. So the traditional method is requesting the suppliers in the Excel to get the compliance details. So that can be replaced with a supplier survey module. API has got a supplier survey module, which is a very standard one. So the customer can utilize the supplier survey module, wherein supplier names as well as the part numbers can be given as an input to the green check, and through which survey can be triggered, and the suppliers can answer all the mandatory fields which are required for the skip, and thereby they can submit it back. It acts as a centralized repository too. And the next one is API Excel template. What if a supplier do not want to answer in what do you call survey module? So no worries, we have a template called API template, that which is a simple template which we have developed it. So Excel template, supplier can even fill that. And apart from all these things, yes, you have some data and you need to request some data. So that is on the first 4 methods. And if you have the details, say like larger companies may maintain the all the details in their in-house database. So this in-house database can be integrated to our green check, or the in-house database, if customer can extract the details in a specific template or in your own template, the data can be downloaded in a CSV file or Excel or XML or any other method. They can download and share it with us. So those details can be transformed and to ensure that it is going inside. We will ensure that it goes inside the green check. So apart from this, there are other methods also, like for example, there are passive component manufacturers like Kemet, Philips, Coaspire, something like that, wherein they may publish all these SCIP or SVHC reach information on their website itself. So API has a supplier chasing team, wherein apart from so basically API provides the complete turnkey solution. So API software can utilize, API software can be utilized to build the entire tree structure or dossier. API has also the people wherein they can work with your supply chain to get the correct details or they can scrub, they can go to the customer supplier websites like Kova, Spear, Philips, or ST Microelectronics or whatever, and then get the respective details to uh, put into green check as a child component. So once if we have all these details, it can be pushed to green check, and green check processes, and it creates the dossier. The dossier is nothing but a type of data which is in the .i6c format. So this is the data which can be, that will be accepted by ECA database. So ECA, there are two methods. So one is, one can get inside the cloud services, ECA cloud services like gmail.com, and somebody can compose the email. Likewise, somebody can create the entire structure in the ECA cloud services for your part, or somebody can, like a third party, if you have huge volume, then it can be created as a dossier in the third party, and at a time we can push it through ECA portal automatic way. And once if it is pushed, the skip number, it will be generated by ECA, and that will be stored back in the green check. So not only skip number will be stored back, and it will also download, it will also create the dossier in i6c format. There are certain cases wherein your customer, I mean, suppose one of the client is choosing GreenCheck as a software to manage their skip submissions. So they can continue to submit the submissions through GreenCheck. And there is another way. There may be a requirement wherein customer, customer may ask only i6z files or skip files. So those can also be downloaded through our software. So let me give a demonstration of the software. Before that, I also have put some screenshots. So as I said, the process, I will show with some sample, different types of sample data like IMDS, IPC1752, and Excel template to start with, and then I'll come to supplier module. So let me start with an example of induction motor, which has got components such as drive and rotor, starter, brush assembly. So in this particular example, there is LED, which is an SVHC. This is an IMDS screenshot, and the same data is also available in IP7752 ARB. Can be given directly as an input to our software. And other method is a supplier survey module, wherein these are the screenshots of a supplier survey module, wherein customer can trigger the survey to supplier to answer the skip requirement or a skip mandatory details for the part numbers, and the supplier can answer by creating the structure and sending across to customer pack. The fourth method is Excel template, wherein this is the API developed Excel template they can use to start getting the details from suppliers. This is the output which GreenCheck generates for a given data set from your input, customer input, and this is how in iCluid or ECA software it looks like, the same output. This is a screenshot of dossier that is generated by APA GreenCheck, and once a skip submission is made, a report will be generated by skip that looks like this. It has a skip number, the part number, and the who submitted and what was the submission date, and the end part number, part name, and what are all the substances. It will not in the skip report. This is called a skip report. SCIP notification. In this, basically, what are the type of substances which are present? Those will be included, not the complete tree. So let me show you with an example. So this is our GreenCheck software. It is a web-based software. The moment you log in, you can see several modules for survey: reach, rows, prop 65, skip, and other custom survey also. As I said, the first step is typically customers, I mean, it will start like this for most of the customers. So customers may have all the details ready with them in a spreadsheet or PDFs or in their ERP. So they can download the dump and give it as an input to another folder. It's I mean, we can simply call this is an FTP. So basically, this particular FTP is connected to our GreenCheck software. So customer can simply drag and drop, or put all the files or share the files to us, or customer can copy and paste the files in this FTP. Once if it is pasted, so GreenCheck will start processing them in batch wise. One can paste hundreds of files or even thousands of, I mean, I wouldn't say thousands, hundreds of files to start with. So once if it is put, it will start processing. Once it starts processing, means you may have full material declaration, or you have only mandatory details. Say for example, this particular spreadsheet has got only the mandatory. It has got only the mandatory details, like whatever SCIP requires. Those mandatory details are only present, like part number, part name, imported or not, what is the SVH substance name and percentage, and article category and material category. All that is listed. These are called mandatory details. And there are cases, as I said, in IMDS or IPC 1752 class D especially, it may have full material details. So GreenCheck accepts all these formats, so they can be just put in this particular folder. So once if it is put, the software will start processing it, and all the outputs will start coming here. So for example, the same induction motor, I'm going to open it. So in this induction motor, once if we put any one of the template, Excel, PDF, or IPC 1752, if you put it up, so it will it will analyze. If it is an FMD, it will take only it will calculate the SVHC percentages, and it will take only the parts which are having more than 0.1% SVHCs, and it will also create the dossier. Dossier means basically the tree structure. The tree structure is generated here. So once the tree structure is generated, you can see all other details, including the article category, concern elements. So before that, let me open my ECA and keep it ready. So ECA is slow. Okay. Okay, this is one. I'm just opening the ECA. I'm making a trial submission here. So this is ECA trial. I cleared trial portal. So once if the data customer has the details, and the details are have gone inside the GreenCheck. So now we have to push these details to ECA. right? So when we are pushing these details, how do we push it? Because it should accept, I mean, ICA IT group has written a language called language through which it can understand that. That means it will accept a standard format called .i6c format. So that is the one which our software will generate. So it can generate the data set or generate the dossier. So the dossier is the input. So for example, if we have the system to system keys, after generating the tree structure, just click on the proceed to submission so that this particular dossier will go and sit into the ICA portal. That is one method. If you have multiple part numbers, one method is, there are three methods. So one method is method one. We can, after if you have the system to system keys, just hit on this proceed to submission. It will go and sit into ECA portal. Second method, if you have hundreds of submissions, we can write a script in such a way that all the hundreds will go and sit into the ECA portal one by one. And a third method is basically just generate the dossier and upload that particular dossier to ECA cloud. So that I'm going to show it. Since I do not have the system to system key for any customer, I cannot click on this, otherwise it will be enabled automatically. So if I upload this ECA trial, browse and attach. Yeah, the file is successfully gone. You can see this is the dossier part is the challenging part. The dossier part or the data set can be created by our software. So you can see the structure, the same induction motor with the bearing, brush, rotor coil drive. Bearing, brush, rotor coil drive is there. So it is same. This is the most challenging part or most time consuming part. You have data in one particular format. So this has to be transformed into this structure. So that takes time. Suppose if you have 100 lines like this, you have to do 100 times browse, attach, and select all the attributes. Instead, if you have all the details in a spreadsheet, it's a matter of simple pushing it. So that's what green check does. So this is the these are the three methods. First, as I said, sorry, yeah, FMD, IPC 1752, IMDS data, IPC 1752, Excel templates. All these can be put it into this particular folder. So automatically they will come and sit into green check, and they will be the structure will be generated. And you can see, once the structure gets generated, I mean, once if the data goes inside, a skip data goes to skip, a skip number will be stored here and along with the link also. So these structures can be as big as, I'm just showing in a sample one. The structure is, this is a little big structure. You can see many components are there, many articles are there. So all this can be created. If you have the data in a spreadsheet or any other format, creating the dossier is very, very simple in GreenCheck. These are the one method of if we have the data, this can be created. So as I said, it also has the supplier method, supplier survey. So first in that particular method, first we need to upload the bill of material or the part number, list of part numbers which customer wanted to survey. After that, the survey can be triggered, survey invitation. So customer can select the part numbers for which they're looking for answers from supplier. Just hit on them and then write the email IDs will be there by default inside for the supplier, and write the email body and invite. So after that, these part numbers will go and sit into the respective supplier IDs, supplier logins. Your suppliers will have a separate logins, which you can generate through our green check. You can see there is a supplier master. In the supplier master, you can create multiple logins for all of your suppliers. This is the supplier code. So this is I'm just logging in as one of the supplier, since I have already requested, a customer has requested some supplier submission. So I'm going to skip survey list. Supplier can see what are all the part numbers that particular supplier, the particular customer has requested. So now let me open one particular part number and start answering it. So supplier will open this particular part number and will start answering it. So in this case, they can create the structure. Let me show an example how to create it. Concern elements. I'm adding. It can be created from scratch since it is already built. I'm trying to add one more element. Aluminum. A concentration range where to choose, then save it. So then save here, and automatically the substance will be added, and then it can be pushed. It is submitted. Once if it is saved and if you hit on the submit, it can be submitted to your customer. Because supplier can also upload certain documents here. So once it goes, supplier completes the survey, customer will receive it. So customer can see that in the respective bill of material. Let me open the same induction motor. So yeah, so in this induction motor, you can see who is the supplier and whether that particular part number can be approved or rejected or follow. So you can change the status. Once if it is approved or made as a compliant, and save it, the dossier can be generated. And the same way again, validate dossier, generate dataset, generate dossier. So net one can do via IMDS data or IPC or supplier module or Excel template as the standard methods. And if a customer has got, I mean, we experience, some of the customers or majority of the customers have got the data in their own format. So in such cases, customer can share the details in their own format. APA will study that and modify this particular data and map the respective attributes to green check to ensure all this data is going inside and dossiers are created. So in that way, respect of the data format, APA green check can create the dossiers automatically. Over to Ken.
Thank you, Shri. And now we'll go through a brief recap, just in case you missed anything. Next slide. Next
Can you
slide.
see? I think I'm in the recap slide.
There we go. So everyone, please remember SCIP is effective January 5th, 2021. Next slide, please. There you go. It is a legal requirement to be registered in the SCIP database for any articles that you have where the SVHCs are greater than 0.1%. By now, you should have begun your communication with any suppliers or internal teams inquiring about whether you have any articles with SV8C, and you should be collecting the information. Please be prepared with best practices to meet these legal obligations and start making your submissions now. The SCIP database is live. You really don't want to wait until the 5th to begin, because it's simply going to take too much time. Act now. Next slide. Next slide, please.
Yeah, I'm on the next slide, Ken. I think. Yeah. Can you see API software for compliance?
Nope.
Okay, maybe I can take it up. So I think.
There it goes. Now we've got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So other software particles that we have that we can help you with are conflict minerals, REACH, ROSE, and Prop 65. We have a great product called SIBS for Can It Be Sold here in the US. And we work with MDS as well for IMDS. Next slide.
After this, I mean, before closing the webinar, there will be a small poll which will help us kindly answer those questions. It will help us to improve further, and followed by the question answers. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer now.